I actually saw like a couple of compilations, like every fan does. As soon as the announcer play, straight away you're straight on YouTube. And I watched a couple, and man, he looks like Maldini. I'm telling you, this boy's going to be.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the world famous podcast, Beating the Press. Two hosts, myself, Ty. We've got Chris as well. I'd like to apologise before we start. We have not wore the matching tops again. It's a running joke, but I don't know. We're not going to spend any more time on it because it doesn't deserve any more time. We keep cocking up. The viewers and the listeners don't want to know about it. Next time we'll do it right.
No one's watching.
Yeah, exactly. Right, before we start, Chris has always told me, if you like what we talk about, football's your thing, and like our sound of our voices, subscribe down there, make a comment, interact with us, tell us what you want, tell us what you like, what's been good, what's not been so good. What we'll also do is at the end of each podcast, we'll leave a little question there. We'll see what your guys' thoughts are on it, and just respond accordingly. Okay, on to today's podcast. We thought we'd put one together on the back of the transfer window closing. Obviously, loads of clubs were busy, not as much as normal. I'd imagine COVID's got quite a lot to do with that. And the other thing, I think a lot of clubs have been burnt over the years as well with these late signings. But we're just going to go through not each club, but most of the clubs, the major signings, and just sort of have a quick little chat about them. So, pass over to you, Chris.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we remember was it one of the first times when the transfer window opened in January, like the Andy Carroll times, because that was a proper, that was a proper winter window. These days we don't seem to get much activity, but I feel like we had a little bit of a decent amount this time, especially as a Liverpool fan. We rarely get anything other than, did we go back to, other than, was it Van Dijk was the last one that we done in January. Yeah. Before that, obviously, we had Suarez, and them were the days, but yeah, it's not so much these days. But yeah, so we're going to go through each individual team. Again, not every single team, but we're going to go through alphabetically and just give you our thoughts on each one. So first of all, we'll start off with Arsenal. They had somewhat of a busy January, predominantly getting rid of a lot of shit, for want of a better word. But they did bring in Odegaard, one which was, he was very popular a couple of years ago. Did he get signed for Real Madrid, and then he's been out on loan a couple of times?
Yeah, about 16 when they signed him. He was really young, quite a few. He was obviously going to be one of the up-and-coming superstars, but never seemed to have just sort of panned out for him. But, Arsenal have obviously been looking at him for a while, and with Mesut Ozil going, Fenerbahce, I think we're talking about Arsenal. I think Arsenal's biggest success, and I call it a success, is getting rid of a lot of deadwood. Now, deadwood, it's how the club perceives deadwood. Now, Mesut Ozil, you can have what I think is a good player. He's more than a good player. He's obviously performed for Real Madrid, and people that have played with him have just, they rate him really highly. Deadwood, Mustafi's gone to Schalke. There's no place for him. The interesting one, the really interesting one for me is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I'm surprised they've let him go. I rate him so highly. And I think that sometimes just comes into that category of a player not fitting into a manager's tactical plan. Now, he's playing Cedric Suarez ahead of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and I know, I'm not having it. He's not a better player than him, but maybe Cedric fits in to his tactical profile better than Ainsley Maitland-Niles does, and he understands it more. And I mean, if it means he's playing Bellerin or Maitland-Niles, he starts for me as if I'm the Arsenal manager, but I'm not, and Arteta is. But the good thing is they've let him go out on loan, and he's off. They wouldn't let him go to Leicester because obviously they saw them as direct competition, so they let him go to West Brom. And then the other one was Joe Willock, who's gone to Newcastle. Now I think that will be a good move for him and for Newcastle. He's never going to get a game at Arsenal, whereas Newcastle need that bit of quality, and he's got the odd goal in him as well. So that's the Arsenal obviously got rid of a few players, on loan. I can see Joe Willock actually staying away and actually leaving the club permanently, Whereas Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I think there's I can see him as an England international moving forward. They're my sort of thoughts on him. I don't know if yours are any different.
Yeah, no, totally agree with what you're saying. The ones that obviously stand out is the Mesut Ozil. Like, do you think he goes out as I don't want to say it, Arsenal legend? Arsenal is semi-legend.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a sort of level just before legend, I'd probably put him there. and I think I think it was the environment that was created at Arsenal which allowed him to just sort of. I mean, he's I don't want to use the word lazy because he's not. You used to look at his figures and his numbers. He used to run more than most players on the pitch. It's just when he gets to the world, he's got a very languid style. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's obviously sort of very laid back in the way that he plays. And the environment that was created at Arsenal when he was there, it was very sort of laid back. And I just don't think it just ended up going really backwards. And Arteta, obviously, he's got, we talk about Ainsley Maitland-Niles not getting a game. He's got a different sort of tactical outlook on the game and how it should be played. And what he does, he wants a high pressing team. Mesut Ozil, for all his qualities, that's not something that he's going to bring. He's got Emile Smith-Rowe now playing in that position. A lot more intensity, a lot more high pressing, and a lot more ability to sort of run with the ball at pace as well. So there's obviously a shift in the way that he wants Arsenal to play, and it just meant him having to go. And I put the bigger picture. I think football. This is going to be a different podcast, but for a player like that to get 300 grand or whatever it is, and not play for best part of a year, and just sit on the not even be registered. I mean, a club can afford to do that. I just think they're just football. Like I say, that's a different podcast. But
whilst he's on like a ridiculous amount of money, I kind of feel for him a little bit because in reality he is a fan's favourite. I don't know whether that's because Arsenal have been performing not so great of the last couple of years. It's kind of like that thing where if you're not performing well, you're not in the team. Everybody says that, we're missing a Ozil type player. So I don't know whether his legacy is kind of propelled because he's not in the team. But on the other hand, like someone of his quality to miss like a full year is beyond ridiculous. And I think Arsenal will be glad to get rid of him. The club itself, not the fans, just because of all the controversies caused with the mascot and the little tweets here, little tweets there. So again,
the bigger thing with Mesut Ozil is now, I don't know how much truth there is in this. He was obviously massively against the Chinese oppression of the Muslim Mayan. I don't know what it's called, but part of China where there's like some sort of real, some people call it genocide of Muslims, and he was really outspoken about that. There's obviously some big Chinese sponsors into Arsenal as well, and how much that played into it. Sort of say, right, you don't play, we'll cover his weight. I don't know, unlikely, but I don't know. And obviously, has that played a part in it? I think it's just a culmination of everything that's played a part in it, and it's just gone off. So.
Yeah, that's another podcast in itself again.
Exactly.
Religion, politics, and sports. Yeah. So just leaving on Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool were potentially interested in. Was it Socrates? Is it
Socrates? Yeah, he went as well, didn't he? So
so it was.
I think Liverpool were after every centre half going that was available under free. It just happened that Arsenal had so much dead wood. But Socrates obviously went to Olympiacos. Mustafi's gone to Schalke. So what we'll do as well is after each sort of club, we'll give them a rating out of 10, and that sort of incomings and outgoings and how we sort of think they've done. I'm going to give them a solid 7.5 out of 10. Just the fact that they've got rid of quite a few players and they've obviously brought in Odegaard. I think they've got a clear vision, strategy of how they're going to recruit now.
Yeah,
not just shooting off the hip.
Yeah, I think you're right about 7, 8, because like you say, with it's the same with kind of Solskjaer. Although we don't think tactically he's the greatest manager, he has cleared out a lot of dead wood, and it seems like Arteta's starting his own vision, so to speak. So on to Villa next. So they've got Morgan Sanson from Marseille for 14 million. Any thoughts on that? Do you know much about him?
Yeah, it's a player from France, good midfielder. It's an interesting one because Villa get him, and I think Villa's first 11 is very good. I can see them finishing. They'll finish top 8. I can see them finishing top 8. They've just got a real good structure in it and good base back of them. He plays with 4-2-3. One of the two midfielders. He'll play in the 2. and I'm just thinking you got Douglas Luiz and you got John McGinn. He's only going to be playing if he's injured. Do you know what I mean? And I can't really see him playing, in the Barkley position. So it'll just be an interesting one to see where he fits in. But I mean, £40 million for a football player, to come in the Premier League, is not a lot of money now if you think of it. So we could potentially be a backup, and if it works well, he'll obviously his price will rise and Villa will sort of win. The other thing as well is it's sort of Aston Villa what level they're recruiting at and what sort of player they can attract. Focus on probably about the level they can at the moment. Although they're playing well, they seem to have a good season. They've not actually got anything yet, So players are always going to be looking at potential and stuff like that. So I think it's okay. Nothing sort of groundbreaking.
Yeah, there's not a great deal more ins and outs from Villa. You were on about a rating for Villa as that goes as a signing by itself.
So I'll give it a 6 out of 10
here, but I just
nothing to shout on
one in, and it's
right, we'll go
pretty much what you'd expect from a Burnley. We've got Dara Costello. Sorry, Dara, if you're watching. No offence meant by, but they've signed someone from Galway United, undisclosed. so you might pull up some trees.
I can't even wing that. I don't know who he is. I'm sure you'll be fine, and I'm sure you'll fit perfectly in Sean Dyche's very direct footballing formations and strategy.
Yeah, the scouting network have pulled one out of the bag there. So we'll give that a solid 10. Moving on to Chelsea. Obviously, none in. They seem to have done all their business in the summer. They've brought in. They've got rid of Danny Drinkwater at long last. He's gone to Kasim Parza.
Yeah, Turkish. Yeah. See, there's a player. There's a player that you talk about having a season over and above an absolute limit of what you can perform at, but your team and your midfield partner carries you to greatness, and he is just bang average. Chelsea then go and spend 40 million. I just thought everything that happened, I'm looking at, I'm thinking, fuck me, he's not gonna. He's won the league, but I'm like, you are not going to start in the Chelsea starting 11, and it's just panned out, and I just think. Didn't he go on loan to Burnley and he couldn't get a game in there? I think he went and launched some Premiership team as well last year.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have been Burnley.
And he was just like, nah. I'm like, he just, he was at Leicester and Kante, N'Golo Kante sort of did it. Was the best player.
It was Burnley or Bournemouth. It was one of them two. And
but it basically, it didn't work out. He just wasn't good enough, and he's probably had to go right. He needs to restart his career. He just wasn't ever good enough, and he's probably he needs to get out of the English Premier League for a while.
Yeah, it surprises me that he has moved to Turkey. He is ultimately a Premier League winner. When that comes on his CV, you'd think one of the other clubs further down the league, like a Newcastle, maybe he might come in for him, but. Yeah, clearly he's shown nothing worth keeping in this country. But they have let go of Tomori, and he's gone to AC Milan, which is a very good move for him.
No, yeah, absolutely. So I was following this transfer for a while. I'd imagine quite a few people in the world follow Fabrizio Romano. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
So he was mentioning quite a while ago about the interest from Milan. And the negotiations took a while, so it was loan with option and all that jazz. They have signed him now. So when that first came up, and I thought, I was like, I wouldn't be leaving him as Chelsea. I won't be selling him because you're thinking Rudiger and what's the other one, Kurt Zouma. They're both similar kind of players, and they're both sort of old. And Tomori's a lot younger, and I just felt there was more about him than them two. And they've let him go for 30 million. And I'm thinking. I don't know. I think it's a cracking signing for Milan because Milan, but we spoke about it last time, with the whole COVID and how it sort of messed up the leagues across Europe. I think they are top at the moment, and it looks like they'll finish in the Champions League places. So for Tomori to go there, play, do you know what I mean? And I just think it's a cracking move for him because not enough English players go abroad to improve themselves. Young English players to challenge themselves, and it will make him a better player. Working in that environment, working with top coaches. Pioli is a top coach from Milan, by the way, and just playing in a different league.
Yeah, absolutely. Like more players absolutely need to do that. You think of over the last what, 20 odd years. You think back to even Michael Owen, David Beckham. I'd have thought before now we would have had a lot more players that would have went, play abroad, expand the horizons. You think of Jadon Sancho, Bellingham. There are a few more out there, but nowhere near what you'd expect. And we need that. I definitely think we need that, obviously, to help the national team. But that also moves on to the next person and the next club. Actually, do you want to give them a rating?
Yeah, I think it's getting rid of Drinkwater is good, but getting rid of Tomori, I don't think it's great. So I'm gonna give him a 5. I'll give him a 6 out of 10, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna skip ahead just because we were on the topic. Demarai Gray, he's moved to Bayer Leverkusen. Again, I think that's a good move. He's an exciting player, but he just doesn't seem to put it in when he hasn't seemed to take his chance as of yet. Any thoughts on Demarai Gray?
Yeah, no, I mean, with the background of my daughter, she just had a bath and she's just letting the world know she has had a bath. I'm just going to. We did talk about Demarai Gray just before we sort of jumped on, and I think he's gone for peanuts in the grand scheme of things. I am shocked Leicester have let him go. I mean, I don't know if he's down to his last 6 months and he didn't want to sign, or you've got, I just think there's got to be, there's a set way Leicester play, 4-2-3-1 generally. Vardy top, they've got Barnes on one side, they've got Maddison, and then it's under whoever on the other side. And I'm just shocked that they've let him go, because I think there's some real. I mean, actually, it's all Brighton on that side, so I just think there's some. I don't get that got. I mean, even what I'm just surprised at that, and I saw that and I was like, I mean, I'd have him at Liverpool as a backup, to the front three in the wide area. Do you know what I mean? So that's the sort of level I'd say is that. And for him, I mean, obviously Liverpool's at the top side, so it's not like he's going down. But it's just surprised Leicester let him go. So I don't know. You never know the ins and outs with these. With 6 months to go, how much have they tried to keep him? What have they sold him? Or has he just seen since the start of the season? He's not had many opportunities. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Leicester fans think of it, because he is a young player. Hopefully, for them they've got a sell-on clause, because these are the type of players that do come back to bite you in the ass again. Your Jadon Sancho's of the world. In a couple of years, he might come back to the Premier League for 80 odd million.
Yeah.
But another one they've let go is Slimani. Let him go on a free. He came with a bit of high expectations. Was that not long after they won the league?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's a good, he's never going to fit into the way Rodgers wants to play. He likes mobile forward. Slimani's a very sort of typical old school number 9, and that a very shit one. Just never going to be good enough to play. And I think, it's like, get rid of Deadwood, move on.
It just goes to show his thoughts on him when Vardy's out injured, and he just has no idea to entertain an idea.
Yeah.
So Leicester's, are you going to rate that out and bounds?
Yeah, I am going to. I'm disappointed with the Gray one massively, so I'm going to go 4 out of 10. Again, I don't know why that's happened or what's happened, but I just think as a player, letting him go. Slimani one's just like, whatever. He's like, he's just bang shit, innit?
And this is, again, I was quite distracted yesterday, so I only got little bits here and there. And this is one that I found out about this morning. And this is Everton. They managed to sign Josh King from Bournemouth, which I think it's a really good signing. Pretty much because I've got him in my FIFA Ultimate team. I've got a pretty crap team, but I do actually rate him. I think he's a good player. What do you think about him?
No, yeah, I was, I mean, I don't know if everyone else watches Sky Sports News, but in lockdown, I've got no else to do, and there's no football. I was like, I'm watching it. So I had it on, and obviously following Twitter as well. Fulham were after him as well. And he's obviously got the choice of both. There's as a player, do you fancy fighting a relegation battle, or do you fancy playing for Everton, who've got an outside chance of finishing in top 4, 6? So he's obviously gone there. I'd be really interested to see where he plays in. Really interested. It's like Calvert-Lewin will be his 9, who's going to play with him. Cenk Tosun's obviously gone. He's gone out. I don't know, some Turkish club. I think he went Galatasaray. But I know he's left. So it's King. Does he play? Is he a backup for him, or does he play in one of the wide areas? or does he play off? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we'll go Calvert-Lewin up top, we'll go. Richarlison's obviously playing on left. It's like, who do we do? Play Rodriguez on right, or do we play King on right and Rodriguez as a 10? You know, so I just think it gives them more options. And I definitely think that is one area where they were a bit short. It was almost like they were overly reliant on Calvert-Lewin and Rodriguez. And the Cenk Tosun used to come on with about 10 minutes to go. Never any. It's one of those substitutions where you hope something happens. You never expect. Do you know what I mean? The same way as when Origi comes on, you're kind of like hoping something goes off his knee, but you never know it's going to happen. You know, you're not watching and thinking, "Oh, we're dead." You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, I think it's a cracking signing that.
Yeah, as much as I do rate him, and I think he is a good player. Do you think it feels like kind of like a backward step? If you think of it as an Everton fan, of who they're looking to bring in. You think that they've got the owners that they've got currently. They've got Ancelotti. I just wonder how that conversation goes down. Ancelotti, he's got all the resources in the world, all the contact in the world, and someone comes to him and says, Josh King, and he's like, "Yeah, go on then."
I think it's fairly obvious now. You're really unlikely to buy anyone decent in the January transfer window. So all your main transfers are done in the summer, which Ancelotti did. He's bought some top players in the summer. There's no beating. You can't beat around that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
The fact they've got Josh King, I think, like I said, we never know what's going on in the ins and outs. You never know how the recruitment team, if they've identified him over a long time. But the thing with that is, you just know that's a player that's come up and he's thought, Tosun's gone. We can get him in. Do you know what I mean? And he's a Premier League proven player, and he knows he's more of a threat than Cenk Tosun. And it's like, we can work on the backup. As a backup for Calvert-Lewin, he can play in a few different positions. So the makeup of him is good. But yeah, no, I think Ancelotti is obviously going to. I think modern day football, a lot of it is you are reliant on the recruitment team. It's not all players are going to be in sort of top leagues across the world. So yeah, no, I think it's a cracking signing.
And do you think that is more of a stopgap? Do you think he goes with an understanding of I am pretty much a second-rate striker behind Calvert-Lewin and potentially getting replaced?
But he can play wide as well, can't he? So it's not like he's going to be playing. He can only play as a 9. The thing with him, there's that flexibility of being able to play him wide as well. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think Bernard left as well, didn't he? I think Bernard's gone as well to some. I think it's Saudi Arabian team. So Bernard's another one that's gone. So they obviously needed cover. They've lost Cenk Tosun, they lost Bernard. So I think they had to get someone in. And Josh King's a more than able replacement for both of them because he can play in both those positions. He can play wide and he can play as a 9 as well. Yeah.
So with that in mind, Tosun and Bernard, how do you rate their?
I'd give them a solid 8. I think it's been a really good. I think that's a good mini transfer window for them.
Mm-hmm. Right, moving on to the champions, Liverpool. We had a bit of a busy day yesterday. Obviously, we brought in Ben Davies, who was playing his own little version of what's the kid off FIFA called, where he just comes from absolutely nothing.
Oh, the journey. Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's playing his very own journey. Oh my God! Imagine the phone calls that he must be getting. Unbelievable. I watched his interview yesterday, and he just looks so happy to be there. He just reminds me of one of my old uni mates. Just the way that he starts chatting, he's very articulated. And I'm thinking you shouldn't be playing football, but he must have something about him. What do you reckon on that one?
Yeah, I mean, let's not beat about the bush. When we had obviously Gomez, Van Dijk, and Matip's now out for the season, and Fabinho's out. I mean, me and you were like, do you know what? I might have to give Jürgen a ring. Say, mate, you know what? I can play centre half. I'm not great. I'm old. Chris used to play as well, stickers, but we were like, we were just literally like any centre half. WhatsApp. We were like, we went through Socrates, Mustafi. There was Johnny Evans rumours. There was like, they literally went across the board, and it was everything. So when we got Ben Davies, and that rumour came out the night before, didn't it? So it was on the 30th, and I was just like, he starts in the Championship for Preston, and I've got, weird enough, one of my mates is a Preston fan as well. He said, and I spoke to him. He said he's a top player, really good. But the question is, can he make the step up? Do you know what I mean? He's one of the best in the Championship. I mean, I don't. I'm not an ex-Championship. I'm not an expert in Championship football, but he obviously watches a lot of his games. He said he's a top player. Do you know what I mean? And it's that step up in it from Championship to the Premiership. But then it's like he is a centre half, and the biggest thing I think, and I think it's really important, is he's left-footed, which gives us that left-sided centre half option.
The balance,
like, yeah. I mean, Matip, obviously. I mean, at the moment, so with them three out injured, your centre halves are going to be sort of Ben Davies, Fabinho, who can fit in there? Henderson can fill in there. You've got Nat Phillips as well. Well, I think he deserves to be in the conversation now because the two games he's played. I think, you know, let's not, you know, he's not you know, a classic footballer like, you know, like your Gomez or a Van Dijk, you know, but he can certainly win a header, he can tackle, he can pass the ball 5 or 10 yards. You're not going to expect him to do the big switches at all. So I think his performance has been fine. And then obviously we've got the you know, the other lad from Schalke as well that came yesterday. Kovac. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Ozan Kovac. So he's like, you know, we won't accept it now, so we're like, you know, find you guys on your Twitter that you follow who are like really good sources. And I was like, yeah, so they were after the guy from Marseille, is it Marseille, the Croatian centre half, Carter? I don't know. You know, like both these centre halves, Ben Davies and Kabak, have not seen either of them play apart from, as you do, YouTube highlights, and everyone's like Zidane's second coming.
I actually saw like a couple of compilations, like every fan does. As soon as the announcer play, straight away you're straight on YouTube. And I watched a couple, and he looks like Maldini. I'm telling you, this boy's going to be he's going to be good. The only question we're going to have is where's Van Dijk going to play, because you know he's a left-sided centre back and he's going to clash with Van Dijk. So I'm thinking Van Dijk might have to move to the right. You know, so that's how good he looks.
Yeah, I mean you look at it, but I've got to give. I mean, we were on about like as soon as Gomez, we're like waiting for January, get a centre half and get a centre half and get a centre half. And they obviously thought Matip can get by and he's okay, and he's obviously had a really bad injury. It's interesting as well that him coming. Jurgen Klopp basically said he's been playing through injuries, being injured, and he's played for the team. Do you know what I mean? And then the Spurs one just basically it went, you know, and he's obviously put his body on the line for the club. And I think for that, you know, we don't know about, you know, saying he's prone. A year ago, you know, he was playing him and Van Dijk with the centre half pairing. Gomez were on the bench. So just getting that in. I mean, Ben Davies and what's his name?
Kabak.
Ozan Kabak. Yeah. So Ben Davies and Kabak. I mean, are they going to go straight in the centre half against Brighton? Are they playing together against Man City? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then does he play? You know, Fabinho there? Does Nat Phillips? It's like I'd like to see the team against Brighton, because I think that would be really interesting to sort of see which way he goes.
Well, I think it will be Fabinho if he's fit, and I think Jordan Henderson will play both for Brighton and Man City. And the reason being that I just think it's going to be a baptism of fire if their second game, either of them, if the second game is to go into Man City. I think it's too big to put them in, especially because we're playing at the moment. You know, we've picked up a good couple of results. I think he'll keep it the same, because he's never been the type of manager that seems to want to rush people in.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, he'll think with Brighton, we can probably see it through without them. Man City, get that out the way and then see where it is from there. But then again, we have got tough fixtures coming up after that as well.
Yeah, I think what I can see one of them playing with Fabinho. I can't see him playing them both. Do you know what I mean? I just think giving us that cover, and it's like interesting to see where I think Fabinho, you obviously trust him at the back, and I think Hendo's been class at the back as well. The other thing as well is against, I think Brighton, if Fabinho, I don't know if Fabinho's injured for the Brighton game, I don't know if he's fit, so that might force his hand. It might be Henderson and Ben Davies. You've got to sort of think of the language barrier as well. Obviously, Davies can speak English, he's got Robertson, and do you know that? So that's all sort of bigger thing. And then you're on about Henderson, Fabinho. If he's back for Man City, I can see them playing both of them at centre half, because the way Man City are playing this season, they're not playing with a 9, are they? So they always play with that deep. And you've got Henderson and Fabinho, who are really comfortable pressing, stepping into that space where normal centre halves wouldn't be. You know, they're sort of like, you know, as soon as a centre forward drops off, you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm out. I'm in sort of unknown territory. But it's them two would be really comfortable in that space. So I think tactically it might even work out quite well, because then that'll give us a further overload in the midfield if one of them two step in. Do you know what I mean? So
it's a very good point. Like I didn't even think of that. So that's a very good point. I thought at the very best we can hope for, when I say the best, I mean like both playing at the same time, very best we could hope for is one of them playing alongside Jordan Henderson. I don't think he'll risk Fabinho for Brighton. I think he'll come back in, make sure he's all right for Man City. But it'd be interesting to see who he does choose. Does he choose the experienced Championship player who has a bit of, like you said, the language, or does he choose what is effectively an international, a guy that we like, contrary to what people think, we have actually been interested in, I think, for a couple of seasons now. We inquired about him in the summer, didn't manage to get him. He's been part of a Schalke team that's getting absolutely roasted week in, week out. I think they only won one game this season so far. But by all accounts, he's been one of the best players amongst that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the recruitment team for Liverpool. I mean, I know we're fans, people think we're biased, but just like the record speaks for itself, it's unbelievably good. They never do the business in the January window unless it's like Van Dijk, who they've been following for X amount of time. The hands have been forced because of Matip's injury, but then they've still gone in and got players, a list of players that they've got identified. Ben Davies was supposed to go to Celtic, and Celtic have just been absolutely fingered. It's horrible and it's shit, but when it happens, that used to happen to us when we were not one of the elite clubs in the world, but now we are. Do you know what I mean? Where you get a Barcelona, someone like that coming in. Now we're that team who just comes in. Ben Davies has got an option. It's like, sorry, Celtic, but Liverpool have just come in. I'm going there. And then the Schalke one as well. The Kazakh one's really interesting because they obviously wanted him with an obligation to buy, but Michael Edwards has just worked his magic as well. He's basically paid $1.5 million for Ben Edwards, and same for Kazakh. And it's like, with an 500 grand with an option to buy for 18 million, it's like you don't even need to buy him. So it's like try before you buy, basically. If he's good after 4 months, you can keep him. But I just think that the way they've done it and they've got on with it really quick, I think it's just brilliant. The only thing I would have hoped for and I would have liked is if they did this at the start of the month, and then those games where we, where it would have been shit, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Midfield.
I totally agree with you. Obviously, we don't want to sound like we're biased with regards to Michael Edwards. But you've mentioned a criticism, which I was going to say, that the fact that it was quite irresponsible of them, I think, to leave it this late in the line. But I also, on the other hand, know that they wouldn't go out and invest that type of money. I know it's a small amount initially, but even then, we're quite frugal, very competent. But one thing that I did love, finish on this. One thing that I did love about the way we went about things is that we secured the signings and kept the fact that Matip was out injured for the rest of the season without anybody else finding out. Yeah. So we kind of kept a strong hand, so to speak. Otherwise, if people think Matip's out the rest of the season, come back, you're not getting him for,
But the Kabak one, obviously we talk about Mustafi, but Schalke wanted Mustafi in before they released Kabak because they needed a centre half to come in. But I think we've ended up, and I think it's been a cracking last transfer day. I think the rest of it we could have definitely done something a bit more, and we should have been looking to get this done earlier. But really happy with it at the end of Christmas.
Just put your neck on the line. I want you to pick who was going to be the biggest success out of the two of them. Because they're very, like I say, the polar opposites on where they are in their career and where they've played. Who do you think will have the longer career?
That's an impossible question, isn't it? It's like how I've never seen either of them play. I'm just going by. One's a Championship player who's in England and he's done well and he's left-footed, and the other one's Kazakh. And it's like, how often do you get to play? I think the other one with Ben Davies, he can play left back as well. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, right, okay. I'll go with the international. I'll go with Kazakh because I'm going to go with the international because he's played in the Bundesliga and he's got some really glowing and it's his personality as well. I think Wagner said he's going to be a captain. And that's the sort of player that I've seen. Some of the stuff he's done, and obviously he can play as well. It's a really tough one. I mean, I'm not saying that with any confidence.
I won't hold you with, but I'm going for Preston's Maldini. Absolutely.
Okay, I hope you're right.
So, just on the way out, obviously we got Sepp van der Berg. He's gone. I don't know a great deal about him. He's a young player that we brought in. He hasn't had much action, and obviously Minamino. Obviously, we've been on Liverpool for quite some time, so you can briefly tell us your thoughts on that, Minamino.
Yeah, Minamino makes sense. We obviously think every time there's a sub needs to be made, we think it's simple for somebody in the league. He seems to get first in, no idea what is going on. Klopp. Minamino will get to Southampton, fit into the way Ralph has who wants him to play as well. High pressing team with intensity. And I think there's a player in there, but he just needs some game time in the Premiership. I think it makes sense. And I think we've got 500,000 in for him as well. So, cha-ching.
Yeah. Cha-ching. That's the soundbite. So next we move on to our rivals.
We've got to give our 1 out of 10 out with for Liverpool.
Sorry, yeah. So what are you rating? 1 or 10?
I'm going to give them a solid 8 just to get two quality centre halves in it. When I say quality, I mean play centre halves that can go. That I bet them Phillips and Williams that can go and play. 2 centre halves that have come in and suddenly become the second best centre halves after Fabinho that are not injured. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to go 7. The only reason why I'm going 7 is because you went 8, and I think that they need punished for doing it so late in the day. So I'm going to go 7 on that one. Man City, not really any ins. No ins. Only one out that I recognise, which is Patrick Roberts. He's went to Derby. He was actually at He was at Middlesbrough last year. Didn't really set the world alight, but he is a talented young player. He's kind of in the the David Silva, poor man David Silva role, but he's had a little bit of experience. He'd been sent out to Rooney, of course, and they're going well at the minute, so that's something. Actually, if anyone knows anything about the Fulham lad that's just come to Middlesbrough, Cabano, I would like to know a little bit of information on that. Middlesbrough got Balassi as well. Did you see that?
Saw that, yeah.
Yeah, cracking signing. So next one, we've got Manchester United. Obviously, they signed Diallo quite early in the transfer window. What do you rate that one as?
I mean,
I'll just preface this by saying he absolutely destroyed Liverpool's reserves.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the one where he didn't do just Menker as well. I think he did, but yeah, no, he was. The one good thing I'll say, it's a good transfer window because they've not actually gone and bought someone massively over the odds and spending a shitload. You know what I mean? And I think they've got a history that people just got them over the barrel, and they always pay over the odds. That's obviously something they've done, in the summer, and Atlanta wanted to keep him, but he was like, no, I want him here with the first, with Man United in the first team, and to get used to the environment, which makes perfect sense. He's your player. And I think that the good thing for them is just not spending ridiculous money. They got lucky with Fernandes last year. He's obviously becoming, he's had an unbelievable calendar year for him. It's like ridiculous. There's no way they'd have thought that would happen. But then they've had a lot of shit that they've bought as well. And
what do you think of the fee? It's 37 million.
It's a lot. But at least you're thinking the recruitment teams have done something about it. And there's a strategy around it. You know what I mean? So he's obviously young, and you're thinking, there is a real player there. But only time will tell if it works out. And it's not a fee that will, if it goes to Man United, they're going to go bust because they're just minted. It's it's like if you class him as value in the sort of real world, and that's the question. Yeah,
I'm like yourself. I feel like it's worth a gamble. Like if it turns out to be something special, then obviously quids. And if not, no skin off their nose. But I watched extensive highlights for the Liverpool reserves game, and he was very tidy, very neat. You can tell he was a cut above the other kids on his age, and I do say kids because they were pretty much kids that he was playing against. There's a couple of times where he did get bounced off the ball. He's very slight. I think he's only maybe 5'7", 5'8", and who are we to say that someone's too small to play football? But You're right in your point that it was a good decision by Solskjaer to bring him and integrate him amongst the team, maybe to get a little bit of weight on, just to get that physicality, because I think he's, like you say, he's better over here than he is John in Atalanta. With the outgoings, you've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah and Jesse Lingard, everyone's favourite player, and Tahith Chong. What stands out there?
Yeah, so I mean, Lingard, he's not been playing. He doesn't fit in the way he wants to play, and I just think Lingard's just fucking bang average. I have since he first sort of stepped up.
I was just about to ask you. Sorry, I was just about to ask you. Has he always been poor?
Yeah, I think Yeah, I mean, even when he was supposed to, he was scoring a couple of goals for England against like nobodies, and I'm just like, I'm giving it the all on social media, and I'm just like, there's not I don't see it. Quote me wrong. And there's Man United fans that had mates that Man United fans. Oh yeah, he's a player. Jay Lings. I didn't even know that was his nickname until it came on social media. Like, who did you? The self-proclaimed Jay Lings? Like fuck you. So he's come up, and then I'm not having that. And then the one that I am surprised they let go was Fosu Mensah, because I think he's a good player. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like they're brilliant at the back. You know what I mean? And I just think, I'm surprised that they let that. Jay Lings, I don't rate. The Tahith Chong, is he gone on a loan? Because I think again
he's gone on loan. Bruges.
Yeah, it's one of those. You send them out on loan, you come back. So the loan, people think, they go out on loan, they come back, and it's a perfect process, and they come back. And it doesn't always work. So it'll be interesting. He comes back and he'll get it. It's just sometimes to give players game time.
Yeah, Chong is one that a lot of Man United fans had a lot of faith in. I'd say a couple of years ago. Especially, it seems like every pre-season he's kind of touted as this is going to be his year, this is going to be his year, but he hasn't quite lived up to it yet. Hopefully he goes there, does it well, comes back and breaks into the United team, but I can't see it. Again, Lingard, I'm the same as you. I never actually saw, it's easy to say now, but I never actually saw, I never felt like he was England quality. But like you say, Fosu Mensah, he's gone for 1.8 million. And again, that's Bayern Leverkusen. I think they've done some great business.
They've done brilliant, yeah. Love that.
What rating are you giving them?
10.
They've done
3.6 million for them two. Oh, do you know what I mean? Unbelievable. Them two have a good 6 months. They'll both be going for 25 million each. You know what I mean? And it's like
exactly. It's a no-brainer. But I don't like the way the Fosu Mensah's kind of went, because obviously it was under a bit of a storm. Like his last game for United, he had a relatively poor game, and obviously he was given abuse by I don't want to say Man United fans because they're not fans. And he's left on that. It kind of leaves a little bit of a taste. Yeah. The other one, the one that kept by itself, was Rojo. Man United fans generally seem to like him. He was I'd say an average defender, but he always give you everything. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, he's gone on. I think they've terminated his contract. He went, and there's no fee, but they basically get him off the wage bill. And again, it's another one. You're getting him a dead one. He's like you. He was a decent centre half, sort of very sort of standard left back, but he did a job for him. You know what I mean? And obviously they want to move on from there, and he doesn't fit into the way the manager wants to play. So it makes sense, But yeah, no, I think that's makes sense for club and player.
So, how do you rate Manchester United's window?
I'll give them a 7 out of 10. I think they've got rid of some, players that weren't going to fit in. And I think I'm giving them a 7 because they've not done what they normally do, and that's just go and spend stupid money on players, just because an agent's come underneath and said, bang, here we go. But no, I think 7 out of 10, solid 7 out of 10. The other reason why I'm not giving high is that Fosu Mensah, I'm shocked that's gone for that much.
Yeah, spot on. So next, I've pulled up Tottenham, and I don't know why I've pulled up Tottenham, but I think it's more along the lines of the fact that they've not done anything in this window. I thought Mourinho, with the way things are going, obviously they're in a cup final at the moment, but they don't seem to be doing anything in the league, or they just seem to be kind of floating at the moment. And if they don't win a cup this year, I think the fans are going to turn them. I was just very surprised that Mourinho hasn't even brought anything in. You think of the Kane injury. I don't know how much longer he's going to be out injured for. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I'd imagine they're trying to do somewhere, but then Daniel Levy's like the tightest bastard in the world, and there's no chance he's going to, if he goes to a club I need to play, they'll be like, all right, thanks, gone to see you, no chance. There was obviously the Dele Alli was supposed to go to PSG, but that never happened because they wanted Christian Eriksen to come back. They obviously wanted a replacement. Yeah. Eriksen wasn't going to go because they didn't want to let him go. So it was that triangle. And just to touch on that triangle, there was another one, and I tweeted about it yesterday, was so there was Hamza Chowdhury at Leicester, there was Matty Longstaff at Newcastle, and there's Nathaniel Chalobah at Watford. So Leicester wanted Chalobah, Newcastle, but then Watford also wanted Matty Longstaff from Newcastle, and Newcastle wanted Hamza Chowdhury. So all three needed to work. But she brought it down somewhere. I'm like, and I'm looking at them three before. I think they're all pretty average. They're all right. But it's the same player effectively. There's nothing. There's not a player that I think, oh wow, he's better than the other, and they all offer the same sort of thing. So I'm thinking, as a club, why would you go to that much effort just to get a different? It didn't make sense to me, but yeah, that sounds that's similar to the Spurs one where they tried to get Ali out and Eriksen in, and obviously didn't materialise. But yeah,
I'm surprised on the Dele Alli one. I'm surprised that didn't go through. Especially the player, I'm presuming, would have wanted to go. Mourinho has no intention. Yeah, Mourinho's got no intention on playing him. At that point, you've got to only point the finger at one person, and that's obviously Daniel Levy. But it's not doing Dele Alli any good or his value, or if they're potentially looking to sell him on just by sitting on the bench. Where do you see Dele Alli going in the next year or two? Do you think he'll pull his socks up?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, the thing with Mourinho is once he's decided you're not for him, you're not playing again. However, and Ndombele was the same, and he's now turned in and he's like one of the first names on the team sheet. But Dele Alli's not the type of player that Mourinho.
Yeah,
he's not a Mourinho type player, is he? Do you know what I mean? And I just don't think the way they play is going to fit in. But I can see he'll obviously have a word with the agent saying I want to leave, and then it's down to the agent. But I can't see him staying with Spurs long term.
Yeah, but he also could potentially outlast Mourinho.
That's really good point. That.
Yeah. So next we move on to West Brom. They brought in Niles, as we were saying. Actually, they brought in half the Premier League. So they brought in Robert Snodgrass, Andy Lonergan, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Dean Garner, and Yoku Salu. Yeah, so they brought in a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Snodgrass was fairly early. Maitland-Niles was good, and the rest of them just like them much. I don't know. I've not seen them play, but you're just kind of hoping. As a West Brom fan, they do well for you. But me, I think fucking Allardyce is the biggest fraud going. So I hope they go down.
Yeah, if I were to read out any of these transfer windows, you can guarantee that you would say that is a Sam Allardyce transfer window. Would you not?
That's why the Maitland-Niles one. I just shocked that he's gone. They obviously got him to go to Leicester because they're rivals. But I'm just wow. I think Maitland-Niles is thinking he needs to play because he wants to play for England in the Euro, so he's obviously going to need to be playing. So he gets game time at West Brom.
Yeah, he's got next to no time to pull them out of the shit, basically. But doesn't it surprise you that you've got West Brom, Sheffield United, and Fulham. I think they're the bottom three at the moment, kind of a little bit cut adrift from the rest. Doesn't it surprise you that West Brom were the only ones to dip into the market?
I think Fulham did try. Didn't Fulham get Josh Maja in from Bordeaux as well on loan? So Fulham have got him. Yeah. They needed a striker. They obviously tried Josh King and they got Josh Maja. But again, Josh Maja's never played. He was the old Sunderland player, wasn't he? So they got him in, and it's like I don't know. I think Fulham have been playing well, and I actually think Sheffield United have been playing well as well. So I don't think, even though they're quite a few points back, I don't think they're dead and buried yet. I think there's a good feel, and there's a good. You watch them play, there's an identity in the way they want to play. Do you know what I mean? I think for Sheffield United, we're not on about it, but their midfield three are massively important of Fleck, Norwood and Lundstrom. Them three playing together, getting them back fit, for that makes the whole team work well. But no, absolutely. I think West Brom, typical Allardyce window.
Yeah, I kind of feel for West Brom because they are the yo-yo team, and I don't think he's going to save them this time. I kind of think that Sheffield United and Fulham, if anything, are going to come out. Fulham, like the way that they play. Sheffield United, they've got that win against United. They're maybe picking up a little bit of momentum now. I feel sorry for West Brom, if I'm honest. And we move on to the last couple. West Ham. So they completed the signing of Benrahma, which I didn't know. So Benrahma originally went on loan, I think loan with an obligation to buy, and they were going to secure him in the summer, but they needed to get a loan slot available, so they obviously signed Benrahma. Now, What do you think of Ben Rama? Obviously, we've both got him in our football index accounts where we're hoping he actually does something. I was watching him the other night, and if you don't know, football index is like a trading platform. We're not getting paid to plug them or anything like that, but yeah, it's where you invest in footballers, and we got recommended to buy Ben Rama. Obviously, Ty's said that he's out. I'm still in with about 300 shares. And I was watching him the other night against Liverpool, and I think this is going to be the night, isn't it? This is going to be the night where he spanks a couple of goals. So that was the only night where I wanted to. I didn't want him to play well, but yeah. What do you think of Ben Rama?
I've been disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I mean, obviously, yeah, you've summed it up right. They had to turn the loan into a permanent transfer to open up the loan slot. I've been disappointed. I just thought it'd be so much better. After our recommendations of what he'd do, and he's now starting for West Ham regularly as well. It's not like he's coming off the bench all the time. I'd expect more from him. Maybe it's that sort of transition period into the league and new team. But yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm not overly overwhelmed by him at all at the moment.
Yeah, they also obviously signed Jay Lings, so we just got to keep that in mind when we're giving our scoring at the end. Sorry, I meant West Brom's. What was their score?
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. So yeah, we've got Ben Rama and Jay Lings in for West Ham, and going out we have Sebastian Haller, which I'm kind of disappointed in me. I'm disappointed in myself because I expected more and I wanted to see a little bit longer, I suppose. Snodgrass and Winston Reid have obviously gone out. Anything on those three?
6 out of 10, I'd say again. The Snodgrass one, he's another one I think is a decent player, but he's a lower end Premiership, top end of Championship sort of level. That's his level. The Sebastian Haller one, it just never happened for him. Obviously, a decent player, never happened. He scored for Ajax his first touch, I think, as well. When he went up smart, it's just fucking jokes. Isn't it? But yeah, no, and Lingard coming in is like much of a muchness. But yeah, 6 out of 10, nothing too exciting. And West Brom, same as well. Yeah.
Lastly, we've got Wolves, and I don't know why I've got Wolves. They bought a player called Willian Jose from Real Sociedad. Any knowledge?
Yeah, so Willian Jose, Brazilian centre forward, very much similar to Raul Jimenez. Jimenez obviously had his skull fractured and unlikely to play for the rest of the season. Wolves have shown that weakness without that focal point up front, and getting those crosses into Fabio Silva was about 2'2". It's like he's obviously realised this isn't working, so they've gone out and they would identify a few. Diego Costa was sort of mentioned as well. That never sort of materialised. So they got Willian Jose in now. So it's someone they needed. He obviously speaks, the language will be fine. With him, he's Brazilian, speaks Portuguese. His Portuguese national team plays for Wolves. Yeah. So that should work out all right. Yeah, I think it's a transfer that makes sense. That a transfer that was forced. That they needed a solid number 9, and they've got one. So solid 8 out of 10 for Wolves.
Well done. Yeah, so that wraps up the January transfer window. I'd be interested to hear all of our subscribers. I'd love to hear who they think has the best and worst window. So if you want to do that, just put that in the comments below. Like Ty said, if you can like, subscribe, comment, make us rich, all that good stuff, that'd be great. I've been Kristian.
Ty.
That's